Hey photographers, are you over the whole blurry background trend? Would you like to be able to make out all of the details in an image? It seems as if over the last decade, we've really obsessed over the need to defocus everything in the scene, to concentrate the viewer's attention only on the subject. Like any trend, its day has passed, and starting in 2021, the pendulum swings back. This will be the year of scherp. It's a technique that first emerged in the Netherlands in the 1930s by photographers like Simon Simon and Riet van der Kraam. Scherp, and you'll be forgiven for pronouncing it scherp, may be a new term to you, one that photographers borrowed from the language of the Netherlands. Although there's no direct English translation, it's best described as a clear and focused image. When everything from the foreground to the background is clear and tack focus, it's scherp. Now, it's an essential technique for landscape and architecture photography. Like bokeh, it's harder to say than it is to do, so let me show you how you can create scherp images in 8 simple steps. Now first, adjust your camera. Although Simon and van der Kraam were limited to film in the 1930s, in the digital age, mirrorless cameras are best. Configure your system by selecting the largest image size, preferably with a 3:2 aspect, APS-C, and a resolution of 24 megapixels is preferred. While a full-frame sensor and higher resolutions may provide even more scherp, 24 megapixels is optimal for most work. Higher resolutions are more demanding on your scherp technique. Advanced techniques are required to master scherp at higher resolutions. Now, you may use RAW if you like, but JPEG works fine as long as you use the highest quality setting, the one that saves the largest files. Step 2. Turn the camera to landscape orientation. 3. Select the electronic front shutter to reduce camera vibration from movement of the shutter as it opens. The 4th step of scherp is to use a wide-angle lens. These scherp samples were taken with wide-angle lenses. The 5th step is to plan your positioning in regard to the scene and then setting your composition. In scherp, objects must be at least 5 meters from the camera. 10 meters or more is better. When you are too close, the closer objects may be out of focus, as in this image where the weeds in the foreground destroy the scherp effect. Then, step 6, and the essence of scherp is to set your aperture. The beauty of this is that most lenses are at their best in the scherptimal aperture range. But as the sweet scherp spot varies from lens to lens, some trial and error is required to determine the optimal scherp aperture for your favorite lenses. I'll keep this video short by leaving more technical details to another video, if Tony or Gerald don't beat me to it. Now, don't use an aperture larger than f8 or smaller than f22. I find f11 works best for me in most situations, but the technique is very light dependent. The more light, the more scherp you'll be able to achieve. Now, in the penultimate 7th step, set your focus. The official scherp profile uses a manual setting, and for scherp, I recommend the focus to the right technique. Now, I'm going to demonstrate on a camera with a manual focus distance display that includes the depth of field setting, the blue bar around the white manual focus distance marker. That indicates the depth of field. So as I move the focus point to the right, I want to get the blue as close to the infinity point at the right of the ruler. Scherp is not concerned with infinity, so don't go all the way to the right. 8th and final step is to finalize the exposure. Many photographers use aperture priority and auto ISO for scherp. I prefer to control these settings manually, as less than optimal settings reduce scherpness. Longer shutter durations can decrease scherp in your images, and any slight movement while the photo is being exposed reduces it. If your camera has in-body stabilization, it can be a valuable assist, enabling you to take a longer duration image without reducing scherp. Finally, adjust the ISO to properly expose the image. Again, be careful, as higher ISOs may introduce noise, resulting in a scherp reduction. Then, release the shutter to record the image. Now, most practice scherp handheld, but a tripod can be a valuable assistant. Using a tripod enables an advanced scherp technique called airscherp to be used, introducing a short delay between pressing the shutter release and the shutter opening is beneficial, providing the enhancing scherp. Don't be disappointed if your first attempts aren't completely successful. There are 8 steps to master. Although after the first few shots, you'll be able to skip directly to step 5. Some of your challenges range from the small, low-res LCD displays on most cameras. They don't allow you to fully analyze your images in the field, so you may only see the fuzzy defects in the image when it's displayed on a larger, more detailed screen. Some of you may be anxious to increase either the detail or the sharpening, but resist that temptation, as it makes the images edgy. Unless, of course, that's your creativity at work. In processing my images, I found it useful to trim 5 to 10% from the edge, as that's often where the scherp starts to fall off. Now, if your images aren't scherp, the correct term for an unscherp image is zacht, which is not quite the same as bokeh. Disputes do arise among photographers who are practicing scherp. For example, in this image, with the ripples in the water, does it have scherp? Or does the slow shutter waterfall eliminate this image from scherp contention? You may find these terms difficult to pronounce, but like bokeh, mastering the pronunciation is not as important as mastering the technique. Those who speak Ukrainian, Hebrew, or Welsh will find it easier to pronounce that soft G. Now, please post links to your scherp images in the comments so that we can all enjoy them. And for those who want to explore further, there are more advanced variations. Bijzonder scherp are images taken using cameras without anti-aliasing features. Mooi scherp, primarily black and white images using vintage manual lenses, are my favorite. Or ongelooflijk scherp, where the landscape scene is scherp but objects are blurred by movement. Let me know if you want to explore these further in another video. Whether you're shooting in or out of focus, your scherp technique will improve by filling your memory cards and draining your batteries. Please post your relevant questions and civil comments below. And if you enjoy my work, please consider subscribing, which remains free, or joining, which provides a few perks in exchange for a monthly membership fee. More details below. Thanks for watching.